So, as the very first thing that you said when we jumped on this call to record episode 12 of Gladiator Diaries, could it be better right now? Obviously, we were making plans for a big celebration on this episode, and it didn't go your way on fight night. But I still think that there are incredible lessons to take from this that I'm sure that you have already been thinking about. First things first, to start everything off, how are you feeling since the fight, and then we'll talk about fight night and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, I've gotten straight back into training. Yesterday, I pretty much went to BST, trained with my dad. Today I took off just because my body just felt a little bit sore. But tomorrow I'm back in again. Obviously, I've got Will's fight on Saturday as well, so I'm going to be cornering him. I mean, everything's sort of, you feel the bits of pain and you feel the bits of anguish, like, oh, why the hell didn't, why is luck not on my side? Why is luck on his side? And stuff like this. You ask these questions, but ultimately, you got to get back to work. You got to figure out what is it that went wrong, what do you need to do more of, and how you're going to move forward from this. So, yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I've been doing. So I've already figured out what I need to do, what I need to correct, how I need to move forward from this. So that's all I can do, and that's all I can ask for.
You sound like you got a bit of a cold. Did you get something in Brazil, or is it from back here?
I don't know. I haven't got a cold, but if that's the case, then maybe my nose broke again.
Damn.
I don't know.
Oh damn! I thought.
I hope not.
Yeah. Of course. I don't know how this one feels compared to other losses that you've had in the past, in terms of, like, I don't know what your standard kind of process is in terms of, obviously you've gone straight back into training, but in terms of looking at the fight, what you could have done better, things like that. Like, how long do you usually dive into that, or do you tend to let your coaches and stuff break it down? And
no, we've already broken it down. We've already figured out. We've already figured out what it is that we needed to. If you look at the fight itself, I didn't do too many things wrong. Like, there's things that I could have done a little bit better. But ultimately, the shot that cost me the fight was something that I was trying to do to trick him, but I didn't do it the best way possible. If you want me to delve into all of that, I can literally delve into all of that right now. But essentially, my feints could have been a little bit better. I was landing shots. I mean, the low kicks were working. He actually caught my leg when he got that takedown. When I got back up to my feet, I should have pushed his head. I didn't push his head. I got the overhook, which ultimately got him to, obviously link his hands together. And, when someone links their hands together underneath your bum, it's pretty much, you already know you're going for a ride. But if I would have had I had the underhook on the left side when I should have had it on the right side. So already two small adjustments that could have been made that could have stopped that, for example. When I was on the floor, I think I may have waited a bit too long to go for that triangle. I was looking at the clock because I wanted the time to go down before I went for the triangle, just in case he would have escaped, and then I would have been in a worse position. But I probably could have done that a little bit earlier. And also, when I got back up to my feet the first time and he pushed me back down, I sat up on my bum and tried to push him with my legs instead of coming on. I should have created a frame with my knee, and I would have got back up to my feet. So, aside from that, and in the second round, Danny was telling me to use my hands, start me to, you use your hands and start to open up your kicks. Start using my hands, and it started working. And then basically what I tried to do was I tried to do like a fake right hand into a jab, because he kept dropping, if it's on this side, I don't know which side the camera's on, but he kept dropping that hand. So that side was wide open. But I watched it in slow motion. I threw a half cross, so it wasn't believable. It wasn't a believable feint. I'd practiced it so many times in the locker room, extending my right hand and then putting this hand up. I literally threw half. I did half the movement, and then I dropped my hand. Like, I should have went here and then here, or, like, do you know what I mean? Come off to the side, extend that hand, and then come up here. I did this. You know what I mean? I did that. So that ultimately cost me the fight, and he just happened to throw his left hook at the same time. And the thing is I was actually picturing, I'm like, this shot is going to land, like my one. And I just, because I think I got a bit too maybe overly eager or overly excited because I knew that that shot would land, that it made me not do the actual technique quite as precisely as I would have wanted. I mean, when I walked out into the crowd, you know, guys were flipping me off, you know, like saying wanker and shit like that at the top. But like, I don't know, it kind of just gave me energy. I enjoyed it. I had the Gladiator music. I was walking out. Their crowd was really lovely. They had a good crowd. They were clapping me on my way out. So, you know, they had it was a nice arena. It was a bit weird because the changing rooms were like literally like it was almost like you're in a like a like a prison cell almost. You know what I mean? Like it was in like some old school, like I don't know, like imagine like a classroom that you would use for detention, like a small classroom, and like the toilets, the water wasn't working, and you know, and stuff like this. Like it was a very small mat area, but I really enjoyed the full experience because the arena itself was obviously amazing. Sao Paulo was a very beautiful country. We didn't really go out too much or anything like that, but realistically, and I know Michael Bisping was kept on mentioning that, you know, oh, Modestas is going to use his grappling, and I was trying to set that up. That's what I was waiting to sort of get myself into the fight a bit more. He didn't really do much on the ground. You know, it's not. It's really a fight where, and he's a very respectful guy. He's a very nice guy, great fighter. And he was very, like I said, very respectful. And I appreciate that. You know, he was fully on the warrior code of showing respect to his opponent. That was it was a very nice change of pace. You know, but most of the time, most of my opponents are respectful towards me. But he showed an even higher level of respect. I think he did respect my stand up and my skill set, because he definitely didn't fight with the same aggression that he normally does, or he didn't fight with the same vigor as he normally does, because obviously I pose different threats, and clearly he poses his threats as well. So yeah, it was realistically I'm going to do a lot more grappling tournaments because I need to just I have the grappling skill, but clearly I'm not confident to do it in a competitive environment. So I need to do more grappling tournaments. So that's going to be one thing that I'm definitely gonna do more, just to get that confidence in terms of my grappling. And realistically, there was nothing else that I really did like madly wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, oh my God, we need to change everything. We need to flip everything upside down. It's literally small tweaks, small adjustments. I started doing more of the things I actually should be doing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I was doing more of the things that I should be doing in a fight. I just had one lapse of concentration, which lost me the fight. And fair play to him for reading that. You know, he's got a powerful left hook. I was awake as soon as I hit the floor. I think Mark Goddard did a good job of stopping it, because who knows, maybe he would have got one or two more strikes off as I was on the floor. But all in all, it wasn't actually like the worst performance. Like if I got absolutely battered from pillar to post and then got knocked out, then I'd say, fuck, I need to sort my life out. I need to maybe think what I need to do. But really, here's, you know, it's just a case of shit now, and I've got to wait till the next fight, you know. But waiting till the next fight, we're gonna eradicate the errors. And there's also one more thing I would say, which is probably not many people would admit, but I think I need to as well, in terms of just diet, in terms of maybe drinking, in terms of maybe trying to go out and recovery and stuff like this, maybe I just need to not want so much of that, like kind of balance. You know what I mean? Maybe the balance has to be tipped in the scales of being very, very strict regime. Do you know what I mean? And do that for years. Do you know what I mean? And not even worry about, not even like bat an eyelid about that. Be even more professional than what I have been, because guys like Sean O'Malley aren't cutting any corners. You know, where you look at these guys who fight at the cream of the crop, the top of the top. They're making sure everything is fine tuned exactly to how a champion should be living and how a champion should be present himself and doing things. So in my in my way of living, I feel like I probably just need to tighten things up a little bit. Like, times where I feel like maybe, could I have recovered a little bit better? Could I have stretched a little bit more? Could I have ate a little bit better? Probably so. So, there's one thing to train like a maniac and train really hard. And also, I came back from injury as well, So I know I said everything fired right at the right time and right when I peaked, and to a certain extent, I still do believe that. But also, potentially, maybe if I had more time, could I have tweaked those things even more and made them a bit more to the level that I wanted it to? So, like I say, fair play to my opponent. He got the shot. Luck wasn't in my favor this time. Luck wasn't in my hands this time, and I believe that it was all meant to teach some sort of lesson. There's some sort of spiritual meaning behind it. And from what I've been telling you, I think I figured it out. I knew it might take me a week, might take me a couple of days, because same like after the Khalil fight, I had to change a lot of things. I've already figured it out. So that's why I am quite set on fixing it. So that's all I can do.
Yeah, you touched on a few things there that we'll chat a little bit more about. The thing that is so crazy about it is even watching it. I mean, your analysis of it was pretty similar to what I imagined it would have been, because you talk about the elite level in MMA and the UFC and how when it comes to these things, it's a game of inches, right? And that this fight was an incredible example of that, right? You talk about how literally just one feint not being as fully committed as it needed to be, and that's the difference. And it was something that you practiced as well, so it wasn't even like a spur of the moment thing that you're like, okay, I need to be more focused on the game plan. The game plan was set, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
this game of inches thing. But then also to go to then think about this loss and then to go, okay, I need to change this, and this is like another reason why MMA is such a crazy sport. Because if you had won, you probably wouldn't have made some of those changes, right? Like you don't want to change things when you're winning and things are going well, but then you lose, and it's like maybe I shouldn't have come back so soon from the injury. Maybe I shouldn't have given it a bit more time. Maybe I do need to do, like you said, more grappling tournaments because it's there, but maybe the confidence isn't quite there. Like all these little things. Like I imagine obviously losing a fight is incredibly difficult no matter what. But when you lose a fight and it's a moment like that where it's such a small thing, but then you're able to take so many little things from it and kind of break it down into little pieces instead of just going, next time I'm in there, feints need to be like I need to focus more on the feints, right? Because that would be what most people would think. They go, okay, so that's what the issue is. Okay, well, we'll fix that. But the way you've looked at it and gone, I can change a bit of my grappling, I can change a bit of my preparation, I can change a bit of my life outside of fighting, like all these things, right?
yeah.
These lessons to take from it. It's crazy because it's such a split second thing when you're watching it at home, right? And even for all the people in the arena and your team and everybody involved, but then to break it down into all these different pieces, right? Like
Yeah.
how I can't imagine what that process is like, but also I think it's also a positive thing that you're able to do that. Like, and you're not just like, I didn't commit on that feint enough, onto the next one. That would be a bad approach.
Yeah. Well, especially me, I get very critical of myself, very critical in my performances and what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. And, when things go a certain way, like I do believe that I've been attracting good things to happen to me. I've been attracting good, positive, and then when it goes the wrong way, you got to think, well, hold on a minute. It's not going to be one little thing that's going to cause you to have a loss like that. You know what I mean? To have a shot that lands where he's getting the luck and I'm not getting the luck here. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's got to be, for me, like I say, I definitely think having a spiritual connection myself helps me to try and really like open things out and try and figure things out a lot more. You know, the fight could have played out a load of different ways. I could have started landing my shots more. I could have started, which is what I felt it could have definitely went that way, But this proves that I'm fighting with the best in the world, and I'm competing with them, and I'm doing my thing, and they're getting fearful of the strike, and it's only going to get better. Like I say, my striking's only going to get better, my grappling's only going to get better, and I need to stop telling these. I almost feel annoyed at myself as well, because I'm telling the commentators, the broadcast team, I'm going to grapple, I'm going to grapple, I'm going to grapple, and then next thing you know, I don't grapple, and you've got to think, okay, well, why aren't you grappling? Your wrestling's good, your jiu-jitsu's good. I mean, I showed a very good defensive jiu-jitsu. Guy couldn't do anything to me. However, in order for me, for me to grapple and like do certain things, like we watched it, we analyze it. Danny Batten's very good at analyzing it. My dad's obviously very good at watching it and analyzing it. My dad also goes off of feelings as well. Like, you need to feel certain shots. It's like he was telling me, when you threw that right hand, why didn't you see that left hand coming? Like, you got to be able to adapt to those situations. And in a way, I'm thinking, well, how the hell can you see it? Do you know what I mean? It just comes straight away. But at the same time, well, yeah, maybe there is a bit more like feelings needed. And like I say, if I would have faked better, I would have probably saw that left hook coming. Do you know what I mean? So there's so many things. Like I say, even the fact that I did get taken down, and like small little errors, like, and I'm thinking to myself, like, confidence wise, it really pressed something to me. Like I say, talking to the broadcast team, telling them that I'm going to grapple, and I end up not grappling really. Like, oh, okay, I know obviously the fight was over before I could really showcase any of that, but still, why am I not more confident to that? Why can't I just be like a Chimaev and just run in there and going for the take? Do you know what I mean? It's like stuff like this, and I generally feel it's because I don't compete in a competitive environment doing the grappling. So yeah, I mean, to figure all these things out, and then put them into practice, I know it's going to cause me to bring on my better performances, to become a winner. I'll become less fearful. I'll become more in tune with myself. So it as much of a negative as it was, as critical as I was straight after the fight and looking into it. Obviously, yeah, you can't look at it as like, oh shit, like, this is the end of the world. They call me the comeback king for a reason. I've come back from way worse. So this is just and the amount of messages that I got actually after the fight of support, and you do also again find out who your real friends are. I am quite fortunate that a lot of the people who I thought were my friends are still like those people. But like I say, I have had a load of messages of support and love, and it just shows that people can see my talent. So it's just a case of building on what I have ultimately created. And yeah, I'm excited to improve on it even more. It's just sad because you want things to happen at a certain time, but you got to remember it's all in God's timing. You don't choose, you don't determine when that time is going to happen. Only the man upstairs and the universe can choose when it will be your time. So unfortunately, this wasn't my time, but I feel like the lessons learned will help me to make it my time.
The grappling, I imagine, will be the main takeaway from this, right? But the interesting thing is that from watching the fight, it didn't really cross my mind. Not necessarily because I don't think that it's an option, right? Because of course I know that it is if you wanted to do it, but it just didn't. There wasn't ever a point, but I think probably because of the way the fight ended as well. Like you said, it wasn't like you were getting beaten around for like 2.5 rounds. Then you're going, why doesn't he have a plan B of grappling, right? Because the fight was still early days, and when that second round started, I think the commentators echoed this as well. It was like, okay, we're expecting, at least I was like, okay, there's going to be more output here. I think that's what the plan is, and there was more output to that as well. Like, you seem to be really focused on the grappling element of it. Like you said, you mentioned it to the commentary team and stuff like that beforehand. How much focus did you put on grappling for this fight?
Well, I mean, in sparring, I was just getting takedowns. I was, adding the takedowns into my into my repertoire, just more on the ground. I was trying to be a bit more tricky with everything. I don't think I had as well the time needed to work on certain skills because of my surgery. You know, I think, you know, not to say it felt rushed, but clearly I'm one of those fighters who has to train all year round, you know, to try and work. Because like I was saying to you before, the off season where you really get better, where you really improve your skill set. So in sparring, I mean, it looked like it's just because as well, I haven't taken anyone down. I wanted to like show that side of my game. You know what I mean? So I wanted to show that, you know, I am a very all-rounded MMA fighter, and it just wasn't meant to be. You know what I mean? In terms of me being able to do that. So yeah, it's just one of those things, man. Like I say, I'll get my chance to do it next time, and yeah, it's just having that confidence to just do it in a fight where everything's on the line. It's like I can strike with everything on the line, but you know, to grapple with everything on the line, you've got to be able to do that also. And yeah, definitely, I think competitions is going to give me that competition environment in order to, okay, well, when I get into the cage, I'm going to be able to use my grappling as well. Just because I have it in the back burner. Why do I not use it? You know, when you've got especially a very heavy striker, you're going to need to use that. You know what I mean? And potentially, what if I went on the takedown on him? You know what I mean? So I think that was probably their game plan all along, was to try and, if they saw that stand up wasn't working, they'll try and take me down. And you know, he caught a leg kick, and you know, he managed to get me on the floor. So it just, yeah, like I hate it when everyone like kind of considers me as a striker, and that's it. So hold on a second, let me show you what's up. But look, I do the grappling tournaments, so I do stuff like that, and then, you know, next thing you know, you can see me Habibing people, you know. So I feel like obviously you need to stay to where your strength, you know, stay to where, you know, it's more of your realm. Like, it's better to keep it standing than to wrestle, but sometimes you're going to need to use it, and I need to have more confidence just to be able to use that, you know.
Yeah, not that I'm saying it'll be to this extent, but I remember, I don't remember what fight it was where it just clicked for him. Mark Casey, who of course opened the card that you were on, lost a fight, and then the next fight he went away for a bit and came back, and from that point on, he's earned the nickname D1 Jacasey, because he just like comes out and wrestles people and holds them down, and they don't seem to be able to do anything. And I don't know what it is that changed in his mindset, because of course when he came through the UK scene and into the UFC, he was this crazy highlight reel striker that spin kicks and one
Yeah.
punch knockouts, right? And now
Yeah.
you're more likely, like I tweeted out during the event when I tuned in, that it's still bizarre to me to watch a UK fighter be the away fighter and getting booed by the home fans for wrestling, because I'm so used to that being the UK fans booing the away fighters for being like, oh, they're holding him down when he's trying to strike, right? Like the development, that like things like this, little things where you go, I need to make this adjustment in order to do this, is like, it goes so far beyond just being like, I maybe could have won the fight by doing this. It's like it could change the whole way that you approach any fight, let alone how you would have approached that fight. And I guess that's the big thing with when you have a setback like this, where it's such a, like almost like a blink and you'll miss it kind of moment. It's like you got to look at the bigger picture, right? Which is what you've done by taking apart the fight and looking at all these little things. And like you said, your team are fantastic at doing that. Some of those things that you said about the things you could have done on the grappling exchanges to get back up quicker or to not get taken down, it's like those little nuances, man, are like, they're game changers, aren't they? And they're such in the moment things as well.
Yeah, and it just shows that that's the areas where I need to again make it in a fight. You're doing what's second nature to you. So it's second nature for me to grab an overhook to stand back up to my feet. But when the guy's already got a good grip and he's just literally just chasing for that takedown, you got to push the head, and I didn't push the head, and you know, getting the underhook on the correct side, like, you know, me and Danny looked at it because I kind of was thinking to myself, where did I go wrong here? And very subtle things, man. Very subtle things that could have changed the complete outcome of certain even bits in that fight, which could have changed the outcome of the fight, like altogether. So But it just shows that everyone in the light heavyweight division has power. Got to keep your hands up, and when you're doing stuff, you got to try not to lose your concentration. Because I think that's why I lost concentration, because I was so excited to land my own shot because I knew it would land. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like one of them shots where his hand drops, and you're like, you recognize it. And I was like, okay, let me throw something at him, and then he just threw the left hook. So yeah, we've I definitely feel I felt I had my time to be like upset and be a Debbie Downer. And I feel like now is just my case of, do you know what? I just need to move forward, man. I just need to try and do what I can to make things right. And the only thing I can do there is just keep training. Do you know what I mean? Keep getting better, compete, and just level up, really.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken about it plenty of times on this podcast of when there's big fights come in and like things get busy. It's like one week there's this, and then the next week there's this. Right, the sport moves so fast, and you have to keep up with it to some extent. Right. This isn't to downplay your performance, because I agreed with your assessment of there wasn't a lot of things like those minute details that you were able to pick out of things you could have done better are like more emphasized because of the fact that it was a close fight, right? If the guy won all 3 rounds, there's loads of little things you can go and get. But when you have a fight that goes like that, there's like you said, 4 or 5 maybe things that you're going to look at and change and tweak in your game and things like that. But I've got to say, I was surprised by Petrino. I don't know how you felt about his performance compared to what you were expecting, what you have been training for, but to give the guy his flowers, because of course you've been on the opposite end of this where people will downplay your achievements, and we definitely haven't done that. And you've already spoken incredibly about Petrino and the type of guy he is, but yeah, the dude's a really talented fighter, and it was a very close fight whilst it lasted.
Yeah, obviously he's a good fighter. He fought completely differently to what I expected. I expected him to come all guns blazing. He wasn't quite. I definitely felt he wasn't quite as confident with me as he was with some of the other fights that he's had. He definitely, but I feel like there was a lot of respect there between us as fighters. Yeah, I feel like I felt like I was getting into the fight. Obviously he's a very good fighter himself. Clearly he's got the grappling as well in his back pocket, which he's confident to use. So yeah, I knew, to be honest, nothing really surprised me, because I knew that he would have all those particular skills. I knew he was a powerful puncher and a powerful kicker. But yeah, like I say, I think I was just surprised that he wasn't quite as aggressive. He kind of held back a little bit, I guess you could say. But everything that I'd sort of prepared for, he was definitely, he was definitely, it was good because it was as I imagined. So, that being said, I knew he's a good fighter. I knew that he's very skillful, and he caught me with a good punch. So this is the fight game, man. Like I say, we're all the best fighters in the world. We're competing at the highest level. He got me. Fair play to him, and like I say, I wish him success in his career.
For sure. As people will probably know already, we put up a preview thing for UFC 295, which goes down this weekend, because we knew we were going to be extremely busy talking about Brazil and then talking about when you get back from Brazil. So it made sense to do it early, so people can check that out. But we're not going to be talking about other fights for a change this time around. So I think that'll pretty much wrap it up, mate. I say thank you for your time at the end of every episode that we do with these, because I do really appreciate your time. But even more so in moments like this, because as we've said plenty of times, when we started this podcast, it was building up to this fight, and now that fight is over, we'll build up to the next one, and we just go again. We go again with this podcast. We go again with the fight. We go again with training camp.
There'll be plenty more experiences to be told. There'll be plenty more things to be talked about. There'll be competitions that I'll be doing that that we'll be able to bring up on here, and It's just a case of, yeah, like I say, I'm the comeback king, mate. So this won't stop me, and I'll just keep going. And like I say, this will all ultimately lead to the UFC belt one day. These are just the lessons that I needed along the way, the little bumps in the road. So I'm actually thankful for it, and thank you for your time as well.
No worries, man. No worries. Yeah, that'll do it. I will. I imagine I will see you in London this week for
Saturday.
the main man, Will Curry's fight.
Yeah, you're going to be on Saturday. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll catch up with you then, man. We'll get a story on Instagram, me and you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Gladiator Diaries boys in the flesh.
For sure. And we'll be back next week to tell, I'm sure, some stories of Will Curry out in London, because something's gonna happen. So
Yeah,
it'll be a good time.
100%, my man. Thank you so much,
All right.
brother. I'll catch you soon. Yeah.
No worries, man. Catch you later.